It's a very beautiful lesson, guys. Establishment of British power in Sri Lanka. So this is really an important lesson. Okay, why? Because to understand the politics of Sri Lanka right now, to understand the culture, to the politics, the people, the thinking pattern of people and everything, it's really important to learn about the establishment of British power in Sri Lanka. Right? This is like a turning point. Like I said, Kalingamaga's invasion was a turning point in our civilization. This is a turning point in modern day politics in Sri Lanka. Okay. So with the establishment of British power, we know that they captured the whole country. They captured the country in parts, like the coastal areas at the beginning, and then they invaded or they captured Kandyan Kingdom, effectively bringing the whole country under their rule. Okay, so where did the British come from? They came from Great Britain. Okay, if you go to Great Britain, it's basically England. England is the main country in Great Britain. Then you have Wales. Then you have Scotland in the northern area, Scotland and Northern Ireland. So those areas together made the Great Britain. Today, Northern Ireland is part of United Kingdom. So Ireland was also part of Great Britain. So the British Isles we call them. Okay. So let me share with you guys the British Isles. Okay. Better identify the Great Britain. How to locate this in the map and everything. Right. So this is basically the great. Let me take a map. So this is the world map, Yeah. Can you all see the screen? The world map? Guys?
Yes, can
yeah,
see.
all right. Okay. So this is the British Isles. So the British people came from this. Okay. So we see India, we see Sri Lanka here. So this is Europe. And you see United Kingdom here. Okay. So basically this is a Great Britain. Okay. Then the Portuguese came from Portugal here, this one. The Dutch came from Netherlands here, this one. Okay. With the Renaissance, we know that all these countries got very developed and very powerful. Okay. They were in competition with each other. They were trying to compete with each other. They were trying to spread their religion. They were trying to show the power to the other countries, like the Dutch wanted to show power to France, or the France wanted to show United Kingdom or the Great Britain that they are the most powerful nation in Europe, right? They wanted basically to project their power. So one of the main things they did to project their power is to take control of the trade in Asia. That means the trade between Asia and Europe, to take control of it. So we know that Portuguese were able to take control of it after expelling Arabs. No, Arabs were not invaders. Okay. Arabs were basically mediators. They were businessmen who came to Sri Lanka, who came to India, who went to Indonesia and purchased items and loaded them in their ships, took them to Europe and sold them in that market. So Arabs didn't come and shoot anybody or kill anybody and capture countries, and nothing like that happened. Okay. But the Portuguese, when they came, they had fights with the Arabs, and the Arabs were defeated, and the Portuguese, they established themselves, like, by force. Okay, whether the king likes it or not, they don't care. They established a fort and they started controlling. Okay, you want to sell it? Okay, we will attack. If you don't want to do business with us, we will attack you, we'll capture you, and then that is how the Portuguese started doing business. And then came the Dutch. The Dutch came and they kicked the Portuguese out, right, by force. Then they captured, all the areas which were held by the Portuguese, right? Then came the British. They kicked out the Dutch and they started controlling the trade. Okay, so this is basically projecting their imperial power, like the empire, right? Making colonies in other countries like India, Sri Lanka, and other countries, right? So basically establishing themselves as like as a nation, as an empire in this region. So this is their main motive. Okay, so we can understand that, let's talk about the arrival of the British in Asia. So from that we can understand how this all played out. Okay, how everything played out in this region. Okay, now we know that there were I think in grade 9 you learned about a little bit, in grade 10 as well. You learned about the arrival of the Dutch in Asia, right? So they established a company called VOC, which is the Dutch East India Trade Company. Okay, VOC, right? So with the VOC, they were doing a lot of business, especially in these islands like Java. Java is where they had their headquarters in the region in the East India, that is called Batavia today, modern day, like Jakarta, that area, right? So here, this one. Okay, then Sumatra, they were basically everywhere, right? So, and also they were in Sri Lanka as well, doing business. They captured the coastal areas, they're ruling the coastal areas, and then the Kandyan Kingdom also had problems with them, right? Kandyan Kingdom actually basically invited them. King Rajasingha II made a deal with them to expel the Portuguese, but after that they established themselves in the country. Then there were problems as well, right? So then came the British. Now the British saw that the Portuguese and the Dutch are making a lot of profit by engaging in trade in this region, in the Asian region. Then the British established the British started their own company, British East India Trade Company. Okay, let's call it East India Trade Company or English East India Trade Company. They established this company, right, in 1600. After the approval, or we call it a warrant. Warrant meaning an approval by the British Crown, who was Queen Elizabeth I. Okay, so she said, okay, you guys can go and do business in this area. Go ahead and do business. Okay, we'll give you the support. If you need the army, take it, right? So this, we have to understand that this company is a government company. It's not a private company or anything like that. Okay, it's a government company. So because it's controlled, or there's a board of directors as well, it's a public company, but the government is supporting them fully. Okay, let's say the public company wants to go and do business in one country and the people of that country is not helping, so the government said, okay, take our army, attack them, invade them, and take control, right? That is how the English came to Asia. Okay, so basically they came to Asia and they established themselves in islands like in this area, in the Indonesian islands, right? But the Dutch were very strong in those areas, the Dutch. So they didn't openly go and fight the Dutch and try to capture Dutch held areas, because the Dutch were also so powerful. But then they managed to somehow build some relationships with India. Okay, India, after negotiations. Now India was controlled at that time by a Mughal empire called Jahangir. Okay, so they established relationships with Jahangir. They held who? The East India Trade Company, the British East India Trade Company. Okay, so they held several rounds of negotiations, like for 10 years, and they somehow managed to establish trade centers in India. Now Sri Lanka is out of the picture. Sri Lanka is not yet. They first came to like this region in Indonesia, these islands, but after that they established themselves in India, especially areas like Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta. Okay, these areas were these areas became trade centers of the British East India Trade Company. Okay, now there's another player who were challenging the British as well. Okay, emerging and challenging player. Not only the Dutch, not only the Portuguese, not only the Dutch were a threat to the English. France was the biggest threat. Okay, France was the biggest threat because France also wanted to control the trade in this region. So they were basically, the British didn't go to war with the French, but diplomatically they were like at war, diplomatically, political war, like that, right? But the English went, like fought with the Dutch, especially when it comes to Sri Lanka. Let's discuss that later. Okay, so but when there's a political war also, you are scared that it might anytime turn out to be an armed conflict. It can happen. Okay, so you have to be very careful with that. So the British followed a very careful policy when it comes to dealing in this region. Okay, all right. So now when the British established centers, their trade centers in which areas? I told you, Bombay. Today is called Mumbai, yeah? Right? Bombay, then Madras is near Chennai, and Calcutta, right? These areas. Now they saw that the Dutch is controlling the coastal areas of the country. They're making a lot of profit. Now we know that the Dutch, when the Dutch captured the coastal areas of our country from the Portuguese, one of our main export crops was cinnamon. Okay, so people had to go to the jungles and peel cinnamon and bring them, and give them to the Portuguese, and they can export. That is how cinnamon was grown in Sri Lanka, in the jungles. But the Dutch saw this. Okay, the Dutch started establishing cinnamon estates, especially like in Negombo, those areas. Okay, cinnamon estates. So basically the Dutch made it commercialized. Basically they made cinnamon a cultivation crop, a cash crop. Okay, so cinnamon was grown in mass scale in big estates and exported. Now everything was like, when the British established trade centers in India, they were watching this. They saw this opportunity, and also they saw that the strategical importance, or the the importance of the location of this country. Okay, they saw, because there were problems with the French. The French might, anytime this political battle might be an armed battle. Okay, they might go to war with each other. Anytime that can happen. So you have to be ready. Okay, so then they saw that, okay, you need some bases around this area, so you need a secure, safe location, maybe to operate your army out of, or maybe to hide your ships and everything. So they saw Sri Lanka. They saw the strategic importance. Strategic means, long-term goals, long-term planning. When they are trying to plan long-term, they saw the importance of Sri Lanka.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. Yeah, one second. Give me 1 second. So because of that, they decided to come to Sri Lanka. But there was a problem. They can't come and establish themselves in Sri Lanka easily. What is the problem? Tell me. What is the problem? Yeah, the Dutch were already controlling the coastal areas of the. Yeah, the problem was the Dutch were already controlling the coastal areas, including the harbors of Sri Lanka and the trade of Sri Lanka. That was the main problem. Okay, but they had two ideas to focus their attention on Sri Lanka. That is the location of Sri Lanka, because if you have any control over Sri Lanka, that means you are controlling the whole area. You are controlling this whole area because they are already there in Calcutta, Madras, and Bombay. But if you also can stay here, It's an additional strength that you will have in order to control this whole region, especially Bay of Bengal, where the French is also trying to somehow come and grab power or become a powerful, like let's say, partner in the trade affairs. Okay, right? So when they focus their attention on Sri Lanka, the main place that they wanted to capture or wanted to have control on was the Trincomalee Harbor. Okay, Trincomalee Harbor is the main place they wanted to. They focused their attention on, and they wanted to have some control over that harbor. Okay, so look at Trincomalee Harbor, like we discussed. I think we discussed about this few weeks ago as well. So when I say Trincomalee, now this harbor, okay, is facing the Bay of Bengal. That means a very important location. It's very close, whether it's for trade or whether it's for military requirements or whether it's for trade requirements. It's very important. The location is very important. Let's say they didn't focus on Colombo, because from Colombo you can easily go to Europe, but with Trincomalee you can easily reach anywhere you like in this region, right? Okay, and also let's say you are trying to capture Colombo and trying to deal with these countries, you have to take a long route, right? It's long. A ship traveling from Colombo to this region it takes like a lot of time, right? So that is why they chose Trincomalee. And there's another reason they chose Trincomalee, because it's a natural harbor, and it's ships can be hidden there. Ships can be protected during the monsoon season, which is coming from northeast, which is coming from the direction of northeast, the monsoon winds, right? Coming like this. So you can actually hide ships here in the harbor. Okay, you can hide ships in the harbor. Yeah. Tell me the question. Somebody had a question?
Sir, when Dutch was ruling the coastal areas of Sri Lanka, at that time, did Portuguese establish their power on Sri Lanka, or were they chased off by?
No, the Dutch came, the Dutch replaced the Portuguese in the country, right? The agreement that happened between the King Rajasingha II and the Dutch in 1638. 1638, this is very important, okay? So 1638, King Rajasingha II signed an agreement with the Dutch to kick the Portuguese out of the country completely, okay? In 1658, after 20 years of fighting, the Portuguese were completely sent out of the country. After that, it was only the Dutch. So when the English came, when the English started focusing their attention in Sri Lanka, it was the Dutch who were ruling the coastal areas of the country. Okay. All right. So there's another reason, that is, okay, I told you 2 reasons for choosing Trincomalee. This is very important, right? You have to remember 3 reasons. Okay. First thing is the location of Trincomalee or Sri Lanka facing the Bay of Bengal. The second reason is the importance of maintaining or establishing naval power in the region. You can actually have a base in Trincomalee, and you can further strengthen the naval power in the region. Okay. Then the third reason is you can actually hide the ships, or you can actually protect the ships from monsoon winds and everything during the windy season. You can basically protect the ships. You can hide the ships in Trincomalee Harbor because it's a natural harbor, and also it's like inside a bay, so it's got natural protection from the adverse weather conditions. So those are the 3 important things. I will put all of those things in a tweet and send you guys, right? Upload in the group, so don't worry. You can go through the tweet and everything, right? It's already done. It's mostly done, so I need to do some fine tuning. Within the next couple of days, I will be able to put them, right? Okay. So now the next important thing is the British. Now you should understand this story very well. This story must be, well established in your head. Okay. Do you have any questions up to this? Anybody have any questions? Please ask. Do you all understand, guys? Ryan, all okay? Shara, Sanila, I want you guys to understand this very, very well. Huh? Why the British?
Yes, sir, I can understand.
Okay, very good. Why the British came to the country? Why they established themselves? What did they do to India? How did they establish trade centers in India? And how did they focus their attention on Sri Lanka? Okay. Now, when the Dutch started ruling like the coastal areas after 1658, okay, the Dutch controlled the coastal areas in the country. Now the agreement was like the Dutch once the Portuguese were kicked out, the Dutch have to hand over the areas to the king, but they didn't do that. They went against the agreement. Who? The Dutch. So from that point onward, the relationship between the Dutch and the Sri Lankan kings were deteriorating. Okay, from time to time, they also followed a peaceful policy after seeing the power of the kings and everything. But from time to time, whenever they got the opportunity, they started attacking Kandy and try to invade Kandy and held areas and attach them to their control. Okay, so because of that, our kings wanted the Dutch out of the country. Okay, so we call it Ingurudila Mirisgatta. Okay, so ginger, you give ginger and you bought chilies. The Portuguese, when we talk about the Portuguese, we replace the Portuguese with the Dutch. Dutch were more powerful than the Portuguese. Okay, at least the Portuguese might have been better. The people used to say, right? If the Portuguese were there, we could have like kept them under bay. But the Dutch is more powerful. They are trying to control the whole country, right? So because of that, the kings had enough with the Dutch. The kings had enough. Okay, now we need a new power to kick the Dutch out, and we can have an agreement. So especially, kings like King Kirti Rajasinghe sent representatives asking for negotiations. Okay, he sent representatives to both the French and the English, but the English responded. Okay, as a result, John Pybus, remember the name? John Pybus, an English representative, visited Kandy in 1762. John Pybus, okay, came in 1762. The first English representative who came to Sri Lanka. The Kandian kingdom was ruled by King Kirti Sri Rajasinghe at that time. Okay, John Pybus. Then they held some negotiations, but like the British actually were a little friends with the Dutch at that time. So the British immediately didn't agree to the king's conditions. The king said, okay, you can attack the Dutch and send them out and you can replace. But the English were like kind of, we can do that, but the Dutch is also okay. They are not attacking us, so why are we attacking them? So sometimes when we need to use the harbor, they will help us like that, right? There was no need for a war at that time. Then came another guy called Hugh Boyd in 1782. Hugh Boyd in 1782. Okay, then the king was Rajadi Rajasinghe in Kandian kingdom. He met King Rajadi Rajasinghe, again tried to negotiate. Again, the relationship was okay with the Dutch, so there was no need for a war or anything like that. So the talks actually stalled. Okay, so no agreement was reached, right? But Robert Andrews, another very important official of the British government, Robert Andrews, came to Sri Lanka in 1795 and again met King Rajadi Rajasinghe. Not again, I mean, Hugh Boyd was the one before, and then Robert Andrews came and met Rajadi Rajasinghe. And this time the talks were successful. This time the king agreed, okay, if you want to kick the Dutch out, I will help you. The king said, okay, I will give you the army. Whatever the help you need, we can also help you. So let's get together and kick the Dutch out, and things like that happen. Okay, so these three incidents, please remember very, very well. Okay, the diplomatic relationships between the Dutch and the British and the Sri Lankan kings or Kandian kings, especially. I will put all this in a tute and give you. Somebody had a question. John Pybus is not a governor, he was a representative. mainly, you know, these representatives are either army officers or senior officials in the government, like that. They might have been governors, because you can just type John Phoebus and see, you know, what position he held in the government, in the British government. Robert Andrews and everything, you know, you can just Google and see, right? Okay, they're all, you know, all information you can find, right? But it's not important to the syllabus, so I'm not talking very deep about those people. Okay, what we need to learn is John Pye. You know, if you want to learn more about these people, please go Google and see. Okay, what we need to learn here is John Phoebus came to Sri Lanka. He's the first English representative, diplomatic representative, came to Sri Lanka in 1762 during the time of King Kirti Sri Rajasinghe. And what we need to understand is Hugh Boyd was another English representative who came in 1782 and met King Rajadi Rajasinghe. Okay, understand? Yeah. All right. So then let's talk a little about establishment of British power before we conclude the lesson today. From there onwards, we can complete the lesson next week. Okay, and do some past paper questions as well. Yeah, Buddha. Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, is it needed to like memorize these years when the English representatives came to this country?
Okay, when these representatives came to the country, Buddha, the coastal areas were ruled by the Dutch. Okay, is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking whether is it essential, whether it is essential to memorize the years when they came, like 1762.
Yeah, it's okay to memorize. Yeah, it's okay to memorize. Is it difficult for you to memorize?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, I'm finding a way how to memorize these numbers.
Then don't worry. Okay. Then no need to memorize. Yeah, it's not so important. The years. There are some important years actually. If you can memorize, memorize. If you find it difficult, no problem. But there are important years that you must memorize. Okay, like 1815. Sorry, I will tell you what to remember and what not to remember. Okay. These are not super important, but it's better if you can memorize. Okay.
Then, sir, may I know how did sir memorize these numerals?
I didn't get you. How to?
May I know how did sir memorize these numbers? Yes.
Using again and again experience. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, experience, guys. So it's like okay, I know that the English representative. Now this is how I memorize. Okay, I know that the English representatives came to Sri Lanka in the 18th century. That means 1700 to 1799. Okay, that is the 18th century. So then I remember, okay, the order of these people, right? John Phoebus came first, Hugh Boyd came next, and Robert Andrews was the last one. Okay, so then 1762, 1782, 1795, right? That came into like picture. So what I do is like, okay, I can memorize it this way. I can remember these three names, okay, without the years. Okay, three names in the order: John Phoebus, Hugh Boyd, and Robert Andrews. Then I can remember the 3 years separately: 1762, 1782, 1795. Then whenever I need, I can attach. You can break into two and remember. Okay, try to do that now and see if you can remember. Right? You can break them into two and see. So if you try to remember like Robert Andrews 1762, Hugh Boyd 1782, it's difficult. So what you remember: 1762, 82, 95. Then John Phoebus, Hugh Boyd, and Robert Andrews. Remember like that. Okay, break into two and remember.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So you know, it's a very now we are going into a very important part. I'm taking 5 minutes, guys. I hope you're okay with this. Anybody wants to go home? Anybody? You're already at home. Anybody wants to go to bed? Anybody feeling sleepy? No? Please tell me. Yeah. All right. So I want to go to the next small. Habib, you are feeling sleepy, huh? Then wake up early morning and come to our grade 10 class. Right. Tomorrow morning we have our map marking continuation. Huh? Those who want to join, please join. Right. Okay. Early morning, 6 o'clock. So let me tell you a short, short thing, and then conclude the session for today, like a small thing, right? Right. So when we are talking about the establishment of British power, this happened in 3 stages. Okay. The first stage is capturing of the coastal areas under the like by the British East India Trade Company. Okay, this is the first step that happened. So the Dutch were expelled, the Dutch were kicked out, and the English East India Trade Company captured the coastal areas which were previously held by the Dutch. Okay, this is the first step they did, right? And then these areas were made a colony of the British Crown. That means the British rule was directly imposed on these areas. Okay, so this happened in 1796, and this colony thing, I will send you the full notes, don't worry about this, I'm just trying. Making a colony happened in 1802. Okay, and then the next one is capturing or invading the invasion of the hill country, invasion of Kandy. This happened in 1815. 2 invasions happened. We'll talk about that later. But this is actually the capturing of Kandy. Let's say capture of Kandy in 1815. So these are the 3 steps of the establishment of British power in Sri Lanka. Okay. So you have to remember these years. Okay. Yeah, this is very important, especially, and this is also important. All are important, but these are super important, right? So capturing coastal areas by the British East India Trade Company happened in 1796. I will teach you how that happened next week. Okay, and Sri Lanka became those coastal areas. Those captured coastal areas became a colony of the British. That means became a part of the British Empire in 1802. That means they were ruled directly by the crown of the British. Crown means the king or the queen. Okay. Then capture of Kandy happened in 1815. How that all happened, we'll discuss next week.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah. Any questions? Yeah, please go ahead. It's time to answer questions now. Yeah, let's take 5 minutes to answer any questions, any doubts you have and everything. Yeah.
So can you explain the difference between the first and the second point?
First and the second point, I will explain that next week. Yeah. Capturing of the, yeah, this takes a little time, like 10 minutes. I will explain that very clearly next week. Okay? I will explain everything, don't worry. Okay. We will go into detail about those 3 points next week. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Because everybody have to understand this unit very well. Huh? Or everything, all the events that took place, all the reasons that led to the British coming to Asia and focusing their attention on Sri Lanka, everything you have to remember very well. So that is why I didn't talk too much today. I didn't take a lot of time, right? Because I wanted to make it keep it a little short. That's why I took like a little more time on past paper discussion as well, because everything has to go into your memory systematically. Okay. All right. It's time to answer some questions. Okay. Vojitma, are you there?
Yes,
when did John Pybus came to Sri Lanka? Who's John Pybus and when did he come to Sri Lanka? Or when did he meet the Kandian king? What is a colony? Ryan is asking, what is a colony? Colony is, Puta, now when you capture a country, Okay, when you capture a country, you can attach that country, you can actually impose the same rule. Let's say now we are let's say we are Sri Lanka, right? We are capturing another country, okay, away from our country, okay, not near our country, mainly away from our country. Let's say that is how the British captured Sri Lanka, right? Coastal areas of Sri Lanka first. Then what they do is like they attach that administratively, like in a political way, in an administrative way to the main country. That means the same rule that is followed here will be followed there as well. That is called a colony. So officially it's part of your country, but it's not your country, it's controlled by you, but you are directly controlling that based on your rules and regulations. That's called a colony. Okay. Yes, Wajidma, you are right. 1762, he met King Kirti Sri Rajasingh. Okay, very good, well done. Right. Tell me why, Rovindu, you tell me one reason why the British focused their attention on Trincomalee Harbour. Very important, it can be an essay question, okay? Yeah.
Because it was important in protecting the ships.
During?
And it can also hide the ships from
During
rainy seasons.
During monsoon wind season, monsoon winds or rainy season. Monsoon winds, especially winds. We have to mention the word winds here. Monsoon winds, okay? Right. That is the most important word there, okay? Monsoon winds and also protection of the ships. Tell me another reason, Sanil, why Trincomalee Harbour was important to the British? Sanil? I want to check your understanding.
Sir, it is easy to control other countries.
It's especially easy to control other countries or control like the naval power in the Bay of Bengal. Let's be very specific here, okay? Let's answer to the point, right? So it's easy to project the naval, or it's easy to control the naval power in the Bay of Bengal, or the area of the Bay of Bengal, okay? That's very important.
Okay, sir.
Good. Almost there, right? I mean, little bit, fine tuning. You need to fine tune a little. Yeah. Okay. Tihan, you've been silent all day. Tihan, tell me two reasons. Kuta, tell me two reasons why the British focused their attention on Sri Lanka, not Trincomalee Harbour, Sri Lanka.
The like the rubber and the
Rubber? No rubber.
Not rubber.
Not rubber.
It's for the tea and the.
No. Tea and cinnamon. Yeah. Cinnamon. Tea and everything were introduced later. The British brought tea and rubber and cultivation and everything later. Okay, those are called cash crops, right? They first brought coffee. We'll talk about those things in our coming list. Okay? They first brought coffee, cinchona, cocoa, everything failed, and then they went for tea. Tea became successful. Even today, we are earning money because of that. Right? Okay, so then because of cinnamon, yeah, because Sri Lankan cinnamon had a very good market in the global stage at that time. Foreign market, they were asking for Sri Lankan cinnamon. Sri Lankan cinnamon were considered like some of the best in the world. Today, the market is captured by India and China. Yeah. Today, we don't have a big market for our cinnamon. There is a market, but not as it used to be. Even tea is the same. Tea also, we used to have a very big market. Yeah. Today, we.
So they say that Sri Lanka's cinnamon is the best or something. They say like that.
It used to be, not now, right? Not now. It used to be the best. I don't know, because our people's mistakes, these people, instead of cinnamon, they put it, they mix it, mix it to earn more money. Like there's a story, so like they wanted a lot of money, so they used to bulk out and send low quality products, and then we got rejected. Right? But today, even today, there are some top exporters, yeah, who export top quality cinnamon. But the market is not as it used to be. Right? We are going like this in all the, like we have to think, and you guys are the future, so you have to think and do something about it, right? Okay, right. Yeah. So there's another reason why the British focused their attention on Sri Lanka. Yeah, who can tell me?
The geographical location of Sri
Yeah,
Lanka.
the geographical location of Sri Lanka, the place of Sri Lanka, especially when it comes to the Indian Ocean, when it comes to the Bay of Bengal, when it comes to India and everything, the geographical location of Sri Lanka is very important. Okay, so those are the two main reasons. You have to remember all these things very well. Okay, everybody. If you find it difficult to remember anything, let me know. Right, I will help you with some tips and everything. And when I upload the tute next week, go through it and come to the class. Okay, right? So it's easy for us to discuss. Any questions? I know you have a lot of questions. Yeah. Today we took a small start in answering essay questions as well, but you have to continue that. Okay, you have to continue trying answering those questions from the units we have already learned. Okay, go ahead and do that, because end of the day it's your A pass, not my A pass. Okay, it's your A pass. Okay, if you don't have questions, let's call it a day. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Those who can come, please come. Those who can't come, no problem. I will get the record. Okay. All right. See you guys then. God bless you all. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Those who are available, come.
Next.
Thank you, sir. God bless you, sir.
Okay,
God
sir.
bless you all. Bye. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye.